Wrestling Reverb is a part of the Pulse Podcast Network. Pulse Podcast Network provides you with the best variety of podcasts on the web, from sports such as the WWE and NBA, all the way through to Dungeons & Dragons podcasts and anything in between. Head on over to pulsepodcastnetwork.com, or you can download the Pulse Podcast app, which is available on both Apple devices and Android devices. Guys, Wrestling Reverb is, of course, a part of the Pulse Podcast Network, and the Pulse Podcast Network now has an official ticket provider, TixBlitz. Take a listen to this.
Have you been searching for the best ticket deals around? Well, look no further. With TixBlitz, the price you see is the price you pay, and TixBlitz just happens to have over $6 billion in ticket inventory just waiting for you. They absolutely mean it when they say every ticket, every venue, everywhere. And you can save even more with promo code PULSE in all caps to save you 5% off your total purchase. Just go to TixBlitz.com and click the search bar. Search events based on your geographic location, pick the show you want, and bam, it's showtime. Sporting events, Broadway shows, concerts, and more with TixBlitz.com. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for the email newsletter so you can stay up to date on the latest news and savings with TixBlitz. That's TixBlitz.com, TixBlitz.com. Every ticket, every venue, everywhere.
Guys, that's how easy it is with TixBlitz.com, the official ticket provider for the Pulse Podcast Network, and just use the code PULSE in all caps to get 5% off.
Hello?
Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Wrestling Reverb. I am Josh. Kevin is here as well. How you doing, Kevin?
Very good, very good. Very happy to be here, getting down to some wrestling business. Had a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, there's some stuff going on. We got Elimination Chamber to talk about. We've got some Hall of Fame news to talk about. There's some other news stories circulating around that we probably will cover as well. We got some stuff about Reverb to talk about. This is going to be a bit of a choppy, changey episode. We're going to be kind of going from one topic to another. But first and foremost, let's talk about Reverb Rewind. That's happening later this week, our debut edition. The polls are still open, I believe, for another about 12 hours or so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's around about a 12-hour window to still vote. There is a leading favorite at the moment. It looks like we're going to be talking about one show in particular, but still time to vote. Are you excited to watch some wrestling this week, Kevin?
Yes. I've been monitoring the poll very closely. I've seen where it's going. You're right. It does look like we have a very clear-cut favorite. That said, there's still time. You guys could go vote. If you're listening out there, go vote on the Wrestling Reverb Twitter page. But I'm excited. I think any of the shows that were nominated would be great watches for us. That said, I'm looking forward to the show that looks like it's going to win.
Yeah, me too, because I haven't watched that show in a very long time. So it'll be news to me and some of that stuff that happens on that show.
Yeah, that's the thing with me too, is like I don't recall exactly what happened. So it'll be like watching anew again, which is nice.
Yeah, and I purposely didn't look up the results of the show and stuff like that because I just kind of want to watch it for what it is. But we'll be recording that show later this week in our second edition of Wrestling Reverb for the week. And yeah, it'll be different for us. I think that's what I like. It's not going to be kind of this kind of conversation. It'll just be kind of like recapping what we're going to do in a minute and recapping Elimination Chamber. But probably a little bit more in-depth. Because me and Kevin have been very vocal about the fact that we find these two pay-per-views in between WrestleMania and that slightly unnecessary. So we kind of know what we're getting to with WrestleMania. At least with these, whatever show wins, we don't really have to think about what's happening next. We can just kind of watch the show for what it is.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's just a unique concept. I'm looking forward to getting down to it with you, and I'm looking forward to just, again, I've said this multiple times. Don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself, but we're getting to watch wrestling. We're getting to watch more wrestling. There's no complaints from me about that.
Yeah, me too. I did want to also talk about some other things with Wrestling Reverb that it hasn't even talked about with Kevin yet. I want his kind of genuine reaction to this. So, I have a little bit of a plan, Kevin, and I hope you're on board with this because it's going to be incredibly embarrassing if you're not while we're recording. So, in the next few months leading into WrestleMania and beyond WrestleMania, I would like to start doing some live episodes of Wrestling Reverb, maybe on YouTube or on whatever kind of platform we kind of decide on. And, bring in some guests and stuff like that. We're very open. I've made it very clear. You've made it very clear. We're very open to having people on this show. I'm always chatting with people and they're always, hey, we should do something for Reverb. And I'm like, yes, let's do that. I think after last episode of Wrestling Reverb with Fow and Levi of the Ruthless Pod, that was just a really fun episode. I can't really put it in any other way. It was just really fun.
It was fun. It was wacky. It was it was all sorts of. I think it was very. I think anyone listening to it must have had a blast, as much of a blast as we had doing it.
Yeah, because I was just honestly yes, I knew I was recording. I have all my stuff set up in front of me, but it almost felt like I wasn't. I was just chatting away with some people, was chatting away with friends, and I just kind of like that kind of feel. I want to bring more of that into Reverb as we kind of progress. I love doing the shows that are serious. Trust me. I like that we can go from just dumb to really, really serious when we need to be. It's a good dynamic. We're not kind of one-dimensional podcast. That's what I'm trying to get at. I just want more, do stuff like live stuff, and it just adds a different sense, different feeling to it. I just want to explore with some more options, I guess, is what I'm kind of getting at, and I hope Kevin can buckle up and come along for the ride.
Oh, definitely, man. I'm right here with you. I love that sort of stuff. I think the live element adds a unique twist to it, because then, if you're going live on YouTube, going live on Twitch, whatever the plan may be, you have people commenting, and people are sort of the fans are in the show too. It's more interactive.
Yeah,
and I like that.
Yeah, I want to start involving more. I want to start involving more people that are regular listeners. That I know there is a few that have listened from the start, and I appreciate them more than I can even explain. I want to start involving that. That's why I started, having ideas like Reverb Rewind with voting, and if you go to my Facebook at the moment, there's a giveaway just started. It's open until next week. I just want to start involving people more, get more eyes on this. It's just fun for me. It's fun for Kevin. It's just, I want a more interactive show. Live, doing it live does that. Even if there's only a few people in here, it does make a big, huge difference just to have even one commenting or one watching at the time. Because you can get live reactions from people. Hey, we could derail onto some topic that people just aren't into, and me and Kevin don't know that while recording. We're just having a chat. But if people are in here and saying, hey, let's talk about this, we know we need to talk about it. And I think that it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow or the next day. It's something I'm planning on, and I've got to work out all the details, make sure it's going to work properly. I don't want to do something half-assed. I want to do it properly. I think that's why I've waited on so many things just in the past, even before Kevin was here and stuff like that. It's probably why I took so long to get a co-host as well, because I didn't just want anyone. I wanted the right person. I waited 35 episodes to get Kevin, so, I mean, I just wanted the right person for the kind of ticket here. So, nothing I do is... I like to plan, and now that I've got Kevin here as well, he's helping me more than you all know. So, that's just kind of what I I have planned, and I'm sure Kevin has things in his mind that we will discuss, and we will get out there eventually. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, no, it's a process. This is a process, and as much as we like to get things done quickly for the sake of the listeners and the fans out there, that isn't always feasible for us. We have to make sure we're doing things right before we're doing things fast, and we gotta take our time, really sit down, put our heads together, brainstorm, and come out with the best ideas possible. Because overall, I think that people would rather have a really great segment, really great idea, more so than like just something we threw together on a night's notice just to be quick about it. I think that isn't always the best plan.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And also, I think what makes... Since you've come on, especially, Kevin, I think what makes this show different because there's a lot of wrestling podcasts. Let's not be wrong here. There's a lot of podcasts in general, but there is a lot of wrestling podcasts. It's easy to fall in just the cycle of it all if you're not doing anything different. Now, I've always said this is about having fun and stuff like that. That's always my number one kind of thing. If I'm not having fun, I'm not going to do this. This isn't about, how many people are listening and stuff like that. That being said, of course, Kevin and I want people to listen to this podcast. It's not like we're human beings. We want as many people to listen as possible. But I think what makes this show a little bit different is that we're two co-hosts that are from two different parts of the world. We've never seen each other before, but we make it work. We're in two completely different time zones. Like Australia and America are two completely different time zones, but me and Kevin have found a way that makes it work for us. And I think it's translating fairly well. I know I've had conversations with many different Twitter friends, and everyone has said the same thing, is that Reverb has found its kind of shtick. We found our thing, and I think that's one thing that I'm really, really happy and proud of, is that we have been able to make this work in a relatively short time. It wasn't a long discussion that me and Kevin had. It was kind of just like, this is going to work. We're going to make it work.
Yeah, man. I'm still so happy that you asked me to be on here. I love this. I love this show. I love sitting down and hammering these podcasts out. It's a thrill. Honestly, it's a thrill for me. This is something I hadn't really done before, and I find myself, really, really getting immersed into this world and getting involved, and just really liking what I'm doing. I like I mentioned before, we were chatting. I was most recently on the Everything Pro Wrestling, their little roundtable discussion on Saturday. I'm branching out. I know you just did a show with Foul Original last night after the Elimination Chamber. So we're branching out. I'm branching out, and I went from just being like a writer to writer, podcaster, whatever, and I think that that's really valuable experience for me.
Yeah, I don't think for anyone that doesn't know, Kevin's background is not podcasting. Kevin's background is writing, is blogging. So he's stepping into a whole new world here, as am I. I'm still learning as well. I haven't been doing this for that great amount of time, but we are, like Kevin said, we are branching out and doing other things. And we always have that one kind of, I think I can speak for both of us when I say we have that one common goal of that us branching out is just for the betterment of Wrestling Reverb. At the end of the day, we want, we just want to get our voices out there, our faces out there, to be like, hey, do you like what I'm kind of saying? Come and listen to Wrestling Reverb, and the great people that we've met along the way. I know I've made literal friends online because of podcasting, because of wrestling. I know more people are asking Kevin to come on their shows and just chatting with Kevin, and just the connections that he's met through podcasting. I think it's pretty safe to say that you're pretty happy with the people that you've interacted with now.
Oh yeah, some of the best people you'll ever know on the wrestling Twitter circle and just online. Guys like Foul, Levi from the Ruthless Aggression podcast, Wilfred Watches, just a ton of really, really talented individuals, hardworking individuals, but also some of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah, I agree. They're very, never estimate how hard these people work. I don't think people realize, I know I didn't realize getting into podcasting how much time, how much effort, how much hard work actually goes into not only just creating a podcast, promoting a podcast, creating a brand, getting networks deals and so on and so on. It takes a lot of time to do this kind of stuff, and that's not a complaint. I wanted this. This is what I want. This is becoming more and more my job all the time, and I couldn't be happier. I love doing this kind of stuff, but it does take a lot of hours to get familiar with just podcasting in general, and like I said, promoting and stuff like that, and building a fan base is so difficult, but it's such a rewarding experience. I get to talk about wrestling. I've made a genuine friend in Kevin that I can message at any time, and he's more than happy to talk to me. So I mean, at the end of the day, if this was to end tomorrow, I've made these relationships with people, and it's just a fun time. I'm just, like you said, I'm genuinely so happy to be doing this. It's not a chore. It's just fun.
It is. It's not a chore. Not a chore at all. This is. Oh, I look forward, on Mondays and Thursdays when it's time to record. I look forward to it all day. I just can't wait to get down, sit down, open up the laptop, hop on Skype, talk to you and whoever else is on the show on that particular day for upwards of 2 hours. It is one of the highlights of my week.
Yeah, and just as we before we talk about Elimination Chamber, me and Kevin can talk for hours. When we are winding down, I'm pretty sure we could probably do another 2 hours. We could literally talk all day. It's kind of scary how long we can talk for about wrestling, really.
I love to talk.
Yeah,
I'll be frank. I love talking, and especially about wrestling. So it's good to have someone that I could talk to who's not going to be like, why do you watch wrestling? Or they're not going to just ignore me or shut me out or laugh at me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's to find a like-minded individual like yourself.
Yeah, it is just, we have the, I guess what we're kind of trying to get across to the point of this kind of little bit before we talk about the chamber is we have determination and drive to make this what we want and what you guys want, and we have the time and effort to put into this when we're not going away anytime soon. We want this to build and build and build for however long we decide to do this. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into a few little bits before we get to the chamber. First and foremost, there was a Hall of Fame announcement a little later than previous years. I believe they usually start around the Royal Rumble time announcing Hall of Fame inductees, but here we are the day after Elimination Chamber, and we have D-Generation X. It is Triple H, Shawn Michaels, the New Age Outlaws, and China. Now, obviously, there has been a long, long time coming for China to go in the Hall of Fame. Yes, it is in a group with D-Generation X. However, it is still her. She's still in the Hall of Fame as a group. Before I ask you about DX's kind of induction, are you one of those people that believe China should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago, or do you think just given her life outside of WWE that maybe it would never happen?
A couple of years ago, I wouldn't have thought it would ever happen. I thought that the WWE had firmly made their point about China, that her out of the ring activities, her scandals were too much. But then you hear the fans. The fans have gotten behind China in such a way over the last 2 or 3 years that they turned that tide. The WWE went from not talking about her at all to, they brought her up. They brought her up at Raw 25 when Triple H was talking with the rest of DX. And now she's going in the Hall of Fame. And yeah, it is. I wish she was going in on her own as opposed to with DX. But also as someone who's wanted to see Chyna in the Hall of Fame for a while, because you can't ignore her accomplishments in the ring. You can't ignore what she did for wrestling and what she did for women's wrestling. She changed the game. She's a game changer. And game changers belong in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Chyna should have been in the Hall of Fame, in my eyes, years ago. Like you said, she changed the game for not only women in the business, but just wrestling in general. She had a very different look to any female that had stepped in the ring at that point. Was Chyna the greatest wrestler ever? No, she wasn't. But what she brought to the game, what she brought to the business, she was a huge star. She was an intercontinental champion. She was a women's champion. She hung in there with she was in top storylines with many different female and male talents. She did things that women in the business had never done in the business at that stage. She opened doors for people like Jazz and Beth Phoenix, just to name a few. She transcended the business into a different era. Her part of DX was such a different contrast of, especially just with Triple H and Shawn. She was just so different to those two. She was the serious kind of ally to their silliness, and I just really enjoyed Chyna's time. Two things. Do you think, and I don't mean this in a horrible way, but do you think her death maybe kind of up the fan outpour to put her in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, it's possible. I know that's like a...
I don't mean it in that kind of sense, in like...
Yeah,
that's
about, but realistically, I think that you could look at the timeline of it all and see that Chyna's unfortunate passing back in, I think, 2016.
Yeah.
That's right around when the fan support for her started to pick up.
Yeah.
Because you want to honor her memory now.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
It became a question of honoring her memory. And that's something that I think we could all get behind. And I think that was something that even the WWE brass saw the fans coming and trying to honor her. And I think that's why they softened their stance.
Yeah, and I guess the other part of the question is, it was long documented Chyna's activities outside of wrestling were kind of the reason that WWE weren't putting her in the Hall of Fame all these years. Do you think, for the most part, WWE should look at just their wrestling career to base them going in the Hall of Fame, or do you think just some things outweigh their wrestling careers and therefore can't go in the Hall of Fame?
I do think that there's a line somewhere with their outside activities. Chyna's pretty close to that line for me, but honestly, I know the thing Triple H would always say was that they didn't want to induct Chyna into the Hall of Fame because what happens when a young kid Googles her name? I just Googled her name before we got started, just because I was curious, and nothing comes up remotely that ties her in any way to like some of the bad things she did. So I don't think that's like a huge issue. I do think that there are certain extenuating circumstances with out of the ring stuff where you shouldn't be allowed in. But as far as Chyna goes, I don't think that it was what she did was the absolute worst thing. But I mean, plenty of guys are in the Hall of Fame that have done and said worse. In my estimate,
I agree.
Hulk Hogan's in there, and he's an admitted racist. So
yeah, I mean,
I don't think what Chyna did compares to that.
No, I mean, okay, humans make mistakes, and everyone has made mistakes in their life. These people just happen to be in the public. And regardless, China lived a very different life than a lot of people. But her accomplishments in the ring, I do think, outweigh her outside of the ring activities. But I think it's a long time coming. I'm happy. Do I wish it was China going in the Hall of Fame as opposed to DX? Yeah, maybe, but at the same time, DX deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. They are it's hard to even explain what they did for the business. What they did for WWE in terms of the Monday Night Wars is out of this world. So, I mean, DX going in the Hall of Fame makes no issue to me. They definitely deserve to go in the Hall of Fame. A lot of people are saying, why isn't Rick Rude included? I believe he was in the group for like 3 months and he didn't really do that much. I mean, I don't really associate Rick Rude with DX. I don't know about you.
No, I really don't think anybody does. I think people are just reaching with that.
And I think people are just complaining.
I have a question for you, though.
Oh.
We've seen two-time inductees in the past. Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, just 2 examples. Do you think someday China will get in on her own and become a 2-time inductee?
I think so one day, but I don't think it'll be any, in the near future. I do think so one day. I think maybe with this opens up that door to peeps. Listen, not everyone's going to be like you and me. There's going to be people that are saying China shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. She's a bad role model for children and blah, 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 blah. I know those people, at least to me, I just don't... I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but, I mean, it is the WWE Hall of Fame. I look at it as a Lifetime Achievement Award. It's different to the other Hall of Fames. It is just recognizing their time, what they did for the business. I do think it will happen one day. I think, like I said, this is just to kind of set the tone to get... WWE are a business. I've said this many times. They've got to look at it from a business side. If they were to put DX in the Hall of Fame and everybody was complaining that China's in, then they know, okay, we're not going to do this as China going into the Hall of Fame because there's too much negative backlash towards it. But it's mostly positive. There's going to be people that complain. But I do think this is WWE going, hey, I think we should probably put China in the Hall of Fame at some stage.
Yeah, I agree. I think that obviously if they're going to take that path, they don't want to stack it so it's like China goes in with DX this year, then on her own next year. I don't think they are going to do it quite like that, but I do think that she deserves it so much. She deserves it on such a high level.
Yeah.
I think at some point, you just have to induct her on her own because she did so much. She was so much more than just a DX member.
Yeah, I agree with that too. While we're on the topic of the Hall of Fame, maybe not this year, but can you name like maybe 2 or 3 people or even just one that you think deserves just to go in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, definitely. I got 2 right off the bat. Owen Hart and the British Bulldog.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that, yeah.
Owen Hart's not in there because of the well-publicized dispute between his wife and WWE. I do think, though, that I don't know if you caught Mark Henry's speech at last year's Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
I did. I sure did.
So you know when he referenced Owen Hart and said he needs to be here with us. He needs to be here. I think that will do a big service in pushing Owen Hart towards the Hall of Fame. I honestly think it could happen this year, although I feel like probably not. And as for the British Bulldog, I mean, he was an incredible talent. There's no denying that. He was part of so many good teams, part of the British Bulldogs, part of the Hart Foundation family. He had that classic main event for the IC title with Bret Hart at Wembley Stadium. It's hard to deny him his place in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why.
Yeah,
he's not in there.
I agree. Owen Hart always is first. I know there's a lot of stuff going on with I can't even think of her name. Why? I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on around that's not allowing it to happen, but Owen Hart's the first one. The other one I always think about is Sable. Sable has done so much in terms of, she was one of the biggest stars of the Attitude Era, man or woman. Sure, she's not really known for her in-ring skills, but wrestling is more than wrestling. Wrestling is a TV show. It's entertainment. She was a huge star. She brought in so much outside attention in an era when it was thriving on mainstream attention. She did Playboy and among other things. I mean, that woman danced on a chair for a 5-minute segment, and it was one of the highest rated segments of the Attitude Era in terms of some things. So she just did a lot to transcend what the diva era became. She was a diva. And I know that term has such a negative look, but that was an era in what women were perceived as, and she was that. She, was limited in the ring, but she was that woman. She was that diva. I think she's just one that always comes to mind as well, and I think she deserves it. I really do.
That's an interesting one. I don't hear that very often. I agree with you. She was a huge star, and she moved the needle more than anybody at that time. Yeah. Honestly, man or woman, Chyna or Sable may have been like at times the biggest star of her day.
Yeah,
just because of some of the segments she did, what she represented. She got everyone talking every time she was on screen. She got so many people tuning in, like you said. I like that one. I definitely see. I see why fans would lash out against that.
Yeah,
because she wasn't a great wrestler. Her work rate wasn't terrific, and yeah, she sort of ushered in. She was sort of, I guess, one of the four mothers. I don't know what you'd say, but of the Divas era.
She just brought in a different style than we hadn't seen from women, and I know that people are against that kind of style. It's not like the quote-unquote wrestling style, but some of the biggest stars of the women's, of females in this industry are not the greatest wrestlers in the world. I don't mean this in a disrespect, but Trish Stratus is great. I think Trish Stratus is the greatest women's champion of all time. However, there is better wrestlers than Trish Stratus. There is better female workers than Trish Stratus. She wasn't the greatest wrestler ever, but if Sable didn't happen, Trish Stratus probably never would have happened. She was brought in because of what she looked like. Sure, Trish transcended into wanting to be the best worker she could possibly be, and she certainly did that. She was different in the sense of Sable, but Trish was brought in because of someone like Sable, at least in my eyes. I could be talking out of my ass here, but I think if Sable wasn't there, Trish Stratus would have never happened. We would have never had Trish and Lita, and then we would never have had things just slowly happen over time. Sable is just, Owen Hart, Sable for me is just the two people that come into my brain, Hall of Fame wise.
Yeah, no, those are two really good ones. And I'm sure there are more out there I can't think of right now, but I always have the go-to Owen Hart British Bulldog answer, and especially Owen Hart.
Yeah, Owen's the one for me. But
he was one of the best workers the company's ever seen.
Yeah,
it's just a shame.
Yeah, really, plain and simple. Do you see? I think is her name Martha? I could be wrong.
I believe it's Martha Hart.
Yeah. Do you see her point of things? Not to get into it too much, but I mean, do you see it from her point of view, or do you see it more so from this is just honoring what he did, or do you see it? I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to ask you that.
I could see her point. She doesn't want them to make money off his name. But that's not. I disagree with what she says. I could see it, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
It's an honor. I know it's, the WWE Hall of Fame is not as much of an honor as really any other Hall of Fame, but it's honoring what he did for the WWE, WWF, and he did a whole heck of a lot. He needs to be in there because the Hall of Fame without Owen Hart in it, Wrestling Hall of Fame without Owen Hart in it, feels almost invalidated.
Yeah, I agree. It's not a money-driven thing at all in my eyes. WWE are honoring him. They know what he did for the WWF. They know what he did for the business. They know how great he was. One of the best pure wrestlers I've ever seen in the ring. From a pure wrestling standpoint, he's just perfect. I don't know if this is going to be a little bit rough to say, but I always thought Owen was a better worker than Brett, in my eyes. I just thought he was more crisp, and I was never really the biggest Bret Hart guy, but that's just personal. But yeah, Owen's always going to be the top one. Once Owen goes in, I'm sure I'll think of more and more and more as we kind of end this podcast. I'm sure I'll be like, wow, I could think of like 40 more people now. But Owen and Sable, yours is Owen and British Bulldog, all deserving people to go in the Hall of Fame. Moving on from that, before we get into the chamber, we're getting there. We do have to talk about a certain situation that come to light in the last couple of days, and there's been more details that have come about today, but there was a certain incident with one Corey Graves. He's been on the, he's been on the wrong side of the internet, I guess, for the last few weeks. He had some tweets that he put out last week or the week before, and then now this alleged cheating scandal. Now, before I get into the news that happened today, I'll just anyone that doesn't know, if you've been living under a rock, Corey Graves's, I guess now ex, I guess, put up a little post on Instagram and is claiming that Corey Graves had an affair with one Carmella. She put up a lot of things that she'd been by Corey Graves' side through depression and attempted suicides and so on and so on. Now, I don't know, Kevin, if you've seen the news that come out today, but allegedly Corey Graves and his now ex-wife had been separated for 6 months, and they were in the process of finalizing a divorce. Before we talk about that news, when you first saw the story, were you as kind of surprised at seeing it as I was?
I guess I'm surprised that it was, I mean, it's this, you never expect to see something like that unfold. I knew something was going on with Corey Graves through those tweets. They seemed like tweets that he obviously wouldn't normally send. It felt like he was like lashing out or like crying out for help. It made me feel uncomfortable to look at them. It didn't make me mad at him. It made me feel sort of like really uncomfortable because he's probably going through something, right?
Yeah.
So when that Instagram post went up and it was Carmella's name on it, that surprised me a little bit.
Yeah.
That surprised me a little bit.
I agree with that because it's honestly even just looking at the two, it didn't match up, I guess. I was like, really? Carmella and Corey Graves? Okay. But now, again, before we get into what come out today, obviously the internet kind of blew up on this story. Now, this is where I kind of get a little bit PO'd. Yes, okay. A lot of people got on. It seemed to be more people got on Carmella than Corey Graves for this situation, including his ex-wife, which is, she has a right to react in any way she wants, regardless of whether we know all the details. We obviously don't, but a lot of more people on the internet seem to get on Carmella than Corey Graves, and okay, yeah, Carmella is a willing party of this, but, and I don't condone cheating at all because it's horrible and never do it. But at the end of the day, I guess Carmella wasn't the one cheating on a spouse. It was Corey Graves, and I don't. I saw some negativity towards Corey, but I don't know what you've seen, but it seemed to be a lot more on Carmella than Corey. Would you agree with that?
I mean, it depends on who you're looking at. I thought a lot of the slander on Graves wasn't like slander, like, oh, he's such a bad person for this. It was more like people making jokes at his expense. Whereas the people who were going after Carmella were taking it like in a much more serious route, calling her a homewrecker, calling her a bunch of unsavory things. I thought maybe there was like an even split between who was getting chirped at, but I thought it was a lot worse for Carmella, which is wrong because she was not she's at fault here too for being a willing participant, but Graves cheated on his wife. That's bad, right?
Yeah.
And he should be 100% to blame. He should be the first person you think of here. You shouldn't even think about Carmella right now. You should be thinking about Corey Graves and what he did.
I agree. And I know this is going to take this podcast in a little bit of a different thing, but this is what I like. We can get a little bit down and serious when we need to. Do you think it's society treating women differently to men in this situation, or do you think it's just the way the roles are? Do you think it'd be treated the same if it was Carmella cheating and Corey Graves, just being a willing involved party, or do you think it is a society thing, just treating men and women very differently?
I'll tell you this: I think that if the roles were reversed and Carmella was cheating on a spouse with Corey Graves, Corey would be getting props.
Yeah,
because that is kind of how it goes, and I think that you're right that Carmella was going to get the worst end of this no matter what, because of the way women are treated, especially in the public eye.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, because my first reaction was Corey is a bit of a scumbag for doing this, and I didn't really think about Carmella too much. Only in the sense of, okay, she willingly knew that he was a married man. Other than that, while I don't think it's a good thing at all, Carmella still did something wrong. My initial reaction was, Corey is a bit of a piece of crap for doing that to his wife of 12 years and his 3 kids that he has. That was my kind of initial reaction, but I just, it was, the seriousness was more so on Carmella, and I mean, not that it really, there was a little bit of a reaction at Elimination Chamber for Carmella, in the sense of, I think there was some Corey Graves chants, I believe WWE had turned them down. I noticed that. She did get a little bit of a boo at Elimination Chamber, not to the sense of it overtook the show at all, it didn't, but in some ways I think it's a little bit unwarranted towards Carmella the wrestler. That is what we've said this many times, people don't know how to decipher the wrestler and the person. Carmella the character on a television show did nothing wrong. Carmella the person maybe did a few things wrong. But with the news that come out today that Corey had been separated from his wife and finalizing a divorce, I mean, maybe he didn't actually do anything wrong. Do you think this could be... We don't know all the details, but from your perspective, is Corey Graves' ex-wife maybe just angry at the situation of they've separated and Corey's with someone else? Or do you think she's just trying... Because he's a public figure, Carmella is a public figure, she knew that this would get people kind of on the side of her, I guess. What do you think of the situation now that you've seen the news of Corey allegedly being separated from his wife.
It's still real icky to me, but it's tough. Again, I need to know. We're gonna have maybe more details will come out over the days and weeks. To me, it's still sort of scumbaggy that he was palling around while he was still married. They were separated still, but I mean they weren't divorced yet. I don't know. There's this very slippery slope there when it comes to etiquette when you're separated from a spouse. I don't necessarily this doesn't necessarily make me think any brighter of Corey Graves. That in the light of this new information, I still feel like he's a scumbag for this. I do want to say that this may be the only thing I'll say, not in defense of Corey Graves, but as a way of saying I this sucks for him too. I hate the way this played out online.
Yeah.
I hate the way I don't like the way obviously she had the right to do whatever she wanted with this. I really hate the way though that it played out on Instagram and now it's playing out for the world to see because frankly it's none of my goddamn business.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I agree.
That's their personal lives. That should be behind closed doors. But now, yeah, we're getting to hear it. Obviously, the WWE fans are going to chant about it and stuff because that's just how it goes. And I really hate the way this. I want this story to just go away.
Yeah, I think as more details come out, I think it will go away eventually, especially if maybe Corey and Carmella literally didn't do anything wrong. But we don't know, and I guess we never really will know the actual story. But like you said, it's their personal lives, and I know we're talking about it now, but we're not the people that are tweeting at Carmella and tweeting at Corey Graves that they're pieces of crap or whatever people are saying. It's much worse than that. But I guess, yeah, it's their personal life. Like you said, and like I said, it's her right to react in any way that she sees necessary. It is her life, this Corey Graves' ex-wife. But even in the sense of maybe they did nothing wrong, she is throwing them right under the bus in terms of getting people to maybe comment on a story that isn't even real. We don't know. But I don't believe in airing out that kind of stuff online. If that was me in that situation, there's other ways to go about that. And you have 3 children that will forever be on the internet. No matter if you delete it or not, that will forever be online. Those kids one day will see all this, and it's just not fair on them. I don't think so in any sense. I know that if that was my parents, I would not be very happy. My parents are divorced. They've been divorced for 13 years. But it's not like they put everything online for the world to see. I know I wouldn't like for that story to be everywhere. And I think of it in that sense. There's 3 children involved in this. Be adults to all parties involved. Whoever it may be involved. But yeah, it is a matter of people not being able to separate the character and the actual person. But it's going to happen. It'll probably happen on SmackDown this week as well, whether Carmella is on television or not. Corey is on television for the whole damn show. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's just a blah situation, really.
Yeah, you that was very well said. The kids are, you gotta think of the kids, man. That should be everyone's first and foremost priority.
Yeah.
And I think that this really is gonna hurt them.
Yeah. At the end of the day, be adults about the situation. But, I mean, we're not them. We're not any of the parties involved. We don't know the story. And I guess at the end of the day, it's not for us to, or anyone on the internet to really say what they're kind of, whatever. But I I guess before we go into the chamber, I do need to we need to hear from the Pulse Podcast Network. So we'll take you over to this, and we'll be back in just a second.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is 8-Bit Ray from the Gorilla Brain Podcast, part of the Pulse Podcast Network. Did you know that you could be using this spot to advertise your company or business? Well, I've done the research, and podcastinsights.com report that podcast listeners are loyal, affluent, and mostly college educated. But most importantly, are 5 times more likely to interact with the ad they hear on their favorite podcast than an ad from any other medium. If you would like to advertise your company or brand with our network, it's simple. All you have to do is send an email to marketing@pulsepodcastnetwork.com. I'll say it one more time. marketing@pulsepodcastnetwork.com. And we hope to hear from you soon.
Alrighty, let's get into Elimination Chamber. You're my you can kind of guide this one along match by match, but before we get into the matches, I'm so glad that this show did not run for 18 hours. This show was nice. It was an hour kickoff. It was a just over 3-hour show. It felt good. It felt like the perfect time. Every match got a chance to tell a story. Everything just flowed nicely, I think. If I can take away anything from this show, it's that. It wasn't a 7-hour long show that was completely unnecessary with a lot of crap. It just flowed nicely, in my opinion. We have stated many times that these shows go on for a long time, and outside of the big 4 pay-per-views, I don't want to see a 7-hour show. But I think that's one thing I can take away from this show, is that it was a nice length.
Yeah, I don't even want to see a 7-hour show for the big 4 pay-per-views, if I'm being honest. It's just tough. But no, last night's went off the air early, which was a welcome sight. They didn't try to stretch out anything. They didn't make anything overly long, I didn't think. There was at least one little filler thing that we'll touch on.
I know exactly what you're talking about without even discussing it. I know what you're thinking, but we'll get to it.
We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, well, I'll let you take the reins. Let's start with the kickoff.
All right, yeah, the kickoff show. We got one match on the kickoff. Cruiserweight title match. Buddy Murphy, the Juggernaut Cruiserweight champion, taking on Akira Tozawa. Now, this match was pretty good, in my opinion. It was good. It was a very good match. It sucks, though, because my takeaway from it was that I was so mad that they cut into the match to take us backstage for Kofi Kingston and the guys to cut a promo.
I am on you 100%, brother. I am the same. That just pisses me off. That is my takeaway as well. Because I have stated so many times, I have started watching 205 Live on a regular basis, and I am more and more becoming a huge 205 Live fan. I'm loving it. The characters on that show, the wrestling on that show. This is their championship main event match. Whether it's on the kickoff, whether it's on the main show, it doesn't not matter to the Cruiserweights. That is the championship main match, their build. That is their one chance to get on the WWE Network on pay-per-view and show their stuff. And to take away, to talk to the New Day, it was literally a takeaway to see Kayla Braxton knocking on a door and trying to talk to the New Day. And that just really... I don't want to complain too much, but Kevin, you got it. Like, Jesus, like that just it is literally the Cruiserweights' chance to show what they can do. And that match, I don't think it was like the greatest match ever, but pure wrestling wise, there wasn't too much better than that on the whole show. That match was bell to bell fantastic. I even said on the prediction show that I was, out of everyone on 205 Live, I wasn't the biggest Akira Tozawa fan, but man, he brought it. Buddy Murphy, I think, is just incredible. Anytime he's in the ring is just great. The Cruiserweights are delivering. And, I mean, that match was just really good. I love the ending sequence. I loved all the suicide dives, the top rope Hurricane Ranas. There was just so much, and I'm the same as you. I hate focusing on the fact that my biggest takeaway from that match was the damn backstage segment. I remember getting very angry at the television. I actually watched Elimination Chamber on my own. I didn't watch it with any friends or anything like that. And I was yelling at the television in a house with no one else in it. So, I mean, I probably sounded like a crazy person, but, I mean, it pissed me off.
No, I think you're absolutely justified in being pissed off. Look at it like this. That's a 1-hour pre-show. This match went about 13 minutes. That's 47 minutes of other BS time that they could have used to show a Kofi Kingston promo. They did it for everyone else. They had promo. They had a Braun Strowman promo. They had an Alexa Bliss promo. Why not a Kofi Kingston promo? Why does it have to come during the match? That's either A, really poor planning, or B, a blatant show of disrespect to the Cruiserweights, and they don't deserve that because you're right. They've been delivering. They've been delivering for months now, and especially Buddy Murphy is so good. He's
just great.
My favorite thing about him, besides his finisher, because Murphy's Law might be one of my favorite finishers going. He's so capable. He's so good with everyone he wrestles. Whether it's Mustafa Ali, Hideo Itami, Grand Metalik, anybody, Cedric Alexander, Akira Tozawa now. He's so good at having good matches with everyone, and he's good at having different matches with everybody. No one of his matches is the same as the next.
Yeah, that's so important, and it's a lost thing. People just think WWE, people get on WWE for being so one-dimensional and it's a WWE style match. I don't believe that. I don't know about you. Yes, there's a criteria and a certain mold that WWE have, but I think there's, I don't know. Like, this is just my personal opinion. I don't believe that. I don't think there is a quote-unquote WWE style. Buddy is a perfect example of changing that style with, and he is very good at adapting to anybody in the ring with him. I am a believer, and this isn't just my biased Australian opinion with Buddy Murphy. I am a believer that Buddy can get in the ring with 100% of the entire roster and adapt. He can adapt to their style. That is what makes an incredible performer. Buddy is that.
I agree. Now, I wanted to touch on this too. That's another challenger down against Buddy Murphy. I right now don't even think he drops the belt at Mania. I don't think they have a right now a credible challenger. Yeah, I know you've just started. It's only recently you just started watching the show. Who do you think could take the belt off Buddy Murphy?
I don't know, honestly, because Buddy is just really is on another level than I'm gonna say all of the cruiserweights on 205 Live. I don't think it's gonna be a clear-cut one-on-one match at Mania. I think it's gonna be like a fatal four-way, a six-pack challenge. There's certainly people on 205 that are capable to do it, but I don't think anyone has enough momentum to take the title off Buddy. Buddy is just too good. If you take Buddy out of these matches, now that the Cruiserweights have recently started to get back on the pay-per-view card, albeit it's on the kickoff, while I don't really think that makes any difference because it's still on the WWE Network, it makes no difference to me. That to me, they're on pay-per-view. They've started to get that, since October, whatever it was. If you take Buddy out of these matches, are they as good? Are they as important? I think 205 can deliver those matches, but will people care enough? People care about Buddy Murphy. I'm pretty confident in saying that. People care about him. But do they care about 205 Live enough? Probably not. I'm not stupid. I can see that. I'm not silly. While I care about 205 Live enough, not everyone does. They need Buddy to put on 5-star matches every single time he gets on pay-per-view. And it takes two to tango. I'm not saying that it's all Buddy, but I think taking Buddy out of this in this point is just a bit silly. That being said, there is still 7 weeks until WrestleMania, 48 days. It's still quite some time before Mania. That's a long time you can build someone up to WrestleMania. I do honestly think it'll be a 6-pack challenge. I think it'll be a mixture of Tozawa, Cedric Alexander, Mike Kanellis, Kalisto, people like that. But to answer your question in short, I really don't think I don't think it's the time to take the title off Buddy Murphy even at WrestleMania.
No, that's what I'm thinking too. I just don't see anybody credibly taking that championship from him. Maybe in a 6-pack challenge because then he doesn't have to get pinned. But I hate that. I hate when they use the multi-man matches as a loophole to get the belt off of somebody. I think that there are a couple names that come to mind. I love, and this wouldn't make sense with the alignments, the heel face alignments, but I do love Drew Gulak. He's probably my favorite.
Drew's really good, yeah. He really is
good. Fiber. I'd love to see him get a run with the belt. If not taking it off of Buddy, and taking it off of whoever comes in between. You know who had a really great match? I don't know I think it was this past week. And I think there's a story there that could be built. Is Tony Nese?
Yeah, Tony's really good. People don't talk about him enough. He's always on the outskirts. He's really good though.
And I from what I remember, because I don't watch it week to week, but I try to watch it. Murphy and Nese were are pals, right?
Yeah, they were. They were or they are. I can't remember.
So yeah, if they still are, and that's a storyline right there. Is you have Nese wants a shot at the belt, you could turn him face, and then there's a match. Yeah. I don't know if Nese wins it, but it's a good story.
Yeah, see, I think I've said this to you before. If I haven't, I'll say it now. I'm a big Mike Kanellis fan. I have been for years.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that situation wouldn't work one-on-one. I don't think you'd turn Mike Kanellis face. I don't think you turn Buddy Murphy face. But I love Mike. I think Mike and Maria are just fantastic together. Obviously, they have a chemistry, clearly.
Oh, my God.
But, I mean, yes, they just work so well. Maria's been on commentary these last few weeks of 205 Live, and Maria's is a very underrated talker in the business in this day and age. Maria's very good. Was she very good? Listen, Maria Kanellis is not a technical wizard in the ring. She's even claimed that. She's not. She's an incredible talker, incredible talent to put Mike Kanellis over in the sense of just getting him to the next level. He's been putting on some great matches in 205 Live. He hasn't. He hasn't got a lot of momentum in 205 Live. He's only just kind of starting to get into the grind of things. But that guy never looks bad in the ring. I really am just kind of gushing over Mike Kanellis here, but I just really do like him. If there was someone other than Buddy Murphy that I really do like on 205 Live, it's Mike. Overall, though, I actually thought this match was really good on the kickoff.
Yeah.
They deserve every kind of praise they get. I know I've seen a lot of people online saying how good this match was, and am I wrong in this? Did it get a "This is awesome" chant from the live crowd?
I believe it did, and it was well deserved because it was a pretty awesome match.
Yeah,
pretty good. Now we'll move on from the kickoff. Kicking things off on the main show, we had the Tag Team Elimination Chamber match for the inaugural WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. You had the Boston Hug Connection, Carmella and Naomi, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, Nia Jax and Tamina, the Iconics and the Riot Squad, with the Boston Hug Connection picking up the victory to become the first WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. At least the first the women's tag champs in this era, because there did used to be women's tag belts back in like the 80s. But what did you think of this one?
I actually was pleasantly surprised at how good this match actually was. Granted, it did start a little, I hate using this term, but it did start a little sloppy, I thought.
It did.
But it picked up, and I was actually, my expectations were pleasantly exceeded. I actually thought this match was pretty damn great.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I agree that it started sloppy, and that that's not great, but it's all about what you do at the time you have. And for the majority of the match, it was well worked. I thought it was better. I thought the pacing of the eliminations in the match itself was better in the women's match than it was in the men's match. And I just I thought there were. Obviously, the Boston Hug Connection was going to win. We've talked about it. They were going to win.
Yeah.
We weren't necessarily happy about it. But I do, especially after that, in the post-match promo, when you saw how emotional they were, it felt right.
It really did. I think I even tweeted it. There was really no two better ladies to win than them two, just in the sense of what it meant. Just before we even talk about them two winning, there was some really cool spots in this match. I thought, okay, so I was pretty certain after the circumstances that happened with Carmella and Naomi that they were probably going to get eliminated first. I was pretty certain about that, just to kind of, move them along from the live crowd and what it be. I might be biased because it was my ladies, but the way they got eliminated was really cool. I really liked that roll-up.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. It was so smooth. Like, they did it really well.
I think what I can take away from this the most is that how well every single team really put emphasis on the fact that they were a team. They worked together as a team. Every single team did that. Now, I was very, very excited for the fact that the Iconics were on pay-per-view. If anyone follows me on social media yesterday, man oh man was I ready for an Iconics win. Now, I'm not stupid. I was pretty certain that they weren't going to actually win, but a boy can dream. Listen, I was ready. I had that moment envisioned in my brain of what I would do if those girls won. But yeah, they got eliminated, second, I believe?
Second.
Yeah, but am I just crazy insane because I love the Iconics so much? They had a pretty good showing in this match. They did a lot.
They did.
And
they did.
That kind of performance is what I've been waiting for them since they've come up to the main roster. They show that they have a different side to being over-the-top, annoying, bratty girls. They have that in the ring. They have the ability to go. I think we both stated before that we think Peyton is the better worker of the two.
Yes.
But to me, the Iconics are a team, and they work together very well as a team, like with the elimination of Naomi, and just what they did as a team. I think something that also surprised me was that the Iconics weren't eliminated first. I was pretty certain they were probably going to be eliminated first, but then obviously...
I thought they were too. I was pleasantly surprised they weren't. Honestly, even without the drama surrounding Carmella and Naomi, I felt like they should have been eliminated first just because they're the only team in there that wasn't a real team.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you completely.
They're all together, and they didn't really need to be in the match. And I thought that was the right move to get them out of there first. But I also think that you're right in saying that they probably got them eliminated first to get them out of the building, basically.
Yeah. I'm just going to kind of run down each team and just kind of give me a brief little kind of summary of what you think, how you thought they worked as a team in the chamber. We talked about the Iconics. how did you think that Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville did? Because I was honestly very surprised with their work in the chamber.
They were fantastic, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought they worked really good. I think they're both capable workers in the ring. Maybe more so than some of the other teams here, as far as both of them being on each other's levels.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a dominant worker in the group.
I like that too. I really do appreciate that about them. They're on each other's level. There's not a clear cut, this one's the leader or this one's in charge. Mandy and Sonya are on the same page.
It makes them feel like even more of a team. So I thought they did really well for themselves. They had a couple good spots. Sonya had I forget who she speared. I think it was Sarah Logan, but it was a brilliant spot.
Brutal when they had that big spot where they were doing all kind of they were just hitting all their kind of signature moves, and
that was excellent.
Yeah,
that was excellent.
Mandy and Sonya. I just think I know there's a lot of speculation from me, especially, that maybe Mandy will work with Asuka at WrestleMania. After seeing this performance, I don't really want to see Mandy and Sonya not as a team. I kind of like to see them continue as a tag team because they're very, very good. Probably a little bit underrated in what terms of they can do as a tag team.
I would say absolutely.
Now, I will talk about Carmella and Naomi. Like you said before, they were the only team to me that weren't a team. I can't recall them really working as a team too much in this match. They weren't in for an incredibly long amount of time. Do you recall any kind of spots from them to kind of signify themselves as a team? The only spot that I can really think of is that like springboard rear view that Naomi did. But other than that, I was impressed with them. They were just in there, I guess, to get eliminated first. Really, and to fill a spot, you had to have.
Yeah, that's what they were, because they only had 5 true tag teams, so they needed to throw 2 women together to make a 6th. I didn't think they impressed me very much at all.
Do you see a future for them as a tag team?
No.
Neither do I. I think, just with the circumstances surrounding it too. I mean, it's a rough week to be Naomi and Carmella as a team, just because of the stuff that happened. It is what it is. I honestly don't think we'll probably see them on TV this week, at least. But, hey, I could be wrong. But it's just a rough week to be Naomi and Carmella in a tag team, in my opinion. Moving on, Nia Jax and Tamina. We had our thoughts on one old Tamina in our prediction show. Poor old Tamina was on the opposite end of our rants, I guess. I was honestly, these two work quite well as a team. It kind of, just you look at them when they come out together, they look like a team. They just look like, okay, they're a team. There was some really cool spots with Nia and Tamina. What did you kind of think of their kind of teamwork in this match?
Yeah, I thought they looked pretty damn good, honestly. They eliminated the Iconics and the Riot Squad. I really like the stereo Samoan drops to knock out the Iconics. Thought that looked good. Tamina's splash from the top rope sucks.
Oh yeah, it does. She gets about probably as much as I could jump from my chair right now, honestly. Like, I'd get more height.
And she very clearly lands on her feet first and then brings the rest of her weight down on you.
Yeah.
But, pinning both Liv and Sarah with one splash was kind of cool.
Yeah.
My favorite spot, though, involving Tamina was when Sasha, Bayley, Mandy, and Sonya all pinned her at the same time.
Honestly, same.
That was very smart, very resourceful spot. Crafty.
I enjoyed Nia and Tamina in this match. They did add a different element. Nia going through the pod was really cool. Although pod spots in an Elimination Chamber match now are a little watered down than they used to be.
Yeah, they're kind of pedestrian at this point.
Before we get into the Riot Squad and Bayley and Sasha, I don't know about you, but I'm not a really big fan of chamber matches. I never really have been, if I can remember correctly. Yes, there's been good chambers, and I do think these two were quite good. I just don't think chamber matches in general are my thing. It could be just a personal thing, but what's your kind of take on an elimination chamber match?
No, I always think they're almost awkward in a way. Like the way they start, there's a lot of lying around. Especially when there's just like two people in there, they're just throwing each other around. They wait. You could always tell when they're just waiting for the next entrant to come in.
Yeah.
I would honestly say I'm not the biggest fan of chamber matches either. And in that regard, I thought that like these chambers were decent. I wouldn't rate them among the best, even though I've seen some people doing so. I think I had a bit of a different take with that, but yeah, I'm not crazy about them, especially in like the new chamber where it seems like they put padding. It doesn't seem like it hurts as much, which is good for the wrestlers. But it's some of the realism, because that is like the worst match for a wrestler to work. At least in the old chamber, a lot of wrestlers have gone on record saying that like they hated working the chamber match.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Like that
too.
sucks. I hate to put them through something they just don't want to do.
Yeah.
For a match that doesn't often entertain as much as it could.
Yeah, it obviously it looks very cool, but I think for me the takeaway from, we'll get into the other chamber in a minute, but both of these chamber matches almost didn't need the chamber. They could have almost just been a 6-pack challenge or whatever, how many teams were in this.
Yeah, there weren't many like crazy spots that you could only do in the chamber.
Like, yeah, okay, you can jump off a chamber pod. Cool. You can go through a pod. Cool. But
seen them both so many times. That's really all they can do.
It's limited in any sense. But nonetheless, we digress. Now, I know you're a fan of Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, so I'll let you kind of take the reins on what you thought about the Riot Squad in this match.
I thought I was a bit disappointed in the Riot Squad, actually. I didn't think they didn't eliminate anybody. They got eliminated third by Tamina, which, sucks. But yeah, there's nothing in my head that really stands out about what the Riot Squad did last night. I think the big thing for me was that weird spot where Sonya went to punch Liv and Liv was supposed to duck out of it, but I think Sonya actually caught her in the face. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was like the biggest spot that stood out for me for the Riot Squad, and that was a botched spot. So not the best showing. Sarah Logan hit a nice little fisherman's buster on somebody.
Yeah, I don't know who it was on, but I think it was Mandy. It was really, really well done. I was like, damn, that was a good Sarah Logan. I think it was you that said this. Sarah Logan is actually really, really good.
Sarah Logan is really good.
Yeah, and I don't think she gets enough credit for what she can do in the ring, because she can do things very crisp. That's what I mean, she's not the most flashy wrestler I've ever seen, but she's very crisp. She doesn't do anything bad, and I think that's something to note on. I think she is a bit constricted in the terms of the Riot Squad, but I mean,
I think they're all constricted.
But if you take them, I think if you take them out of the Riot Squad, they get lost. I honestly do think that, especially now with tag team championships, it gives something for Sarah and Liv to kind of fight for.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think they should stay a team. I think Ruby's got to break out. We'll talk more about Ruby. But
I'm the same as you, though. I was a little disappointed in the Riot Squad. They had that cool spot off the pod with the crossbodies. That was nice, but outside of that, they didn't do a hell of a lot in this match, I don't think. And they were a team that I was expecting to do a lot, to be honest. Maybe it was just my expectations of them, but they didn't really impress me too much in this one.
Yeah, no, I feel you. What'd you think about the winners of the night, Sasha Banks and Bayley?
I mean, listen, we both stated, I'll talk for myself here, that I didn't want Sasha and Bayley to win this match going into the Chamber. I just didn't want it to happen. I like Sasha Banks. I actually used to be a very big fan of Sasha Banks during her NXT time and when she was first on the main roster. I was, man, on that Sasha Banks train. I was driving that train. I loved Sasha Banks. I like Bayley. She's not targeted to me, and I understand that. She's very good. I think out of the four horsewomen, Bayley is probably the best all-round worker in the sense of she doesn't do anything the best, but she can adapt the best. I think that's just personally. However, I like Bayley. I don't love Bayley. In the terms of the match itself, they did work really great as a team. They do work together well as a unit. I think my problem with them was that I always thought while they did work so good as a unit, I think they're better separate. But that's a discussion for another time. But in the terms of the match, they were the right winners. There's no question about it in my mind now. I'll eat my words. They were the perfect ones to win it first, and I did honestly think they were going to win. I thought the ending of the match was really cool. The whole ending sequence of the last two teams with along with Mandy and Sonya, there was just there was lots of near falls and everyone had a chance to kind of win. I really enjoyed the kind of triangle lock kind of bank statement thing that Sasha did at the end. I thought that looked really cool. Yeah, that was really cool. It was innovative. It was smart. Yeah,
it was good selling. Yeah, she heard her. That when she smashed her arm into the pod, like she put a lot of oomph into that.
Yeah, Sasha Banks is always one that, while I think it's sometimes a little too extreme, she's not afraid to take a bump. She definitely sells her spots very well. I think she does a little bit too extreme sometimes for some of the spots that she's willing to take. But hey, that's just her as a performer, and we're not in the ring. We know, but she knows what her body can kind of handle, I guess. But she does take some spots in matches in general. But I think you'll probably agree that these were the right people to win, especially with in terms of, yes, it's the first ever. I just think maybe it should have been done at Mania, but it is what it is. It was still great. I thought the actual match itself was actually quite good. It didn't run too long. It wasn't too short. It was the perfect amount of time, and everyone got a chance to shine.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's important. It's getting everyone a chance to get their stuff in.
It was a good start for the women's tag team titles. It puts them on a level going into Raw, going into Fastlane, going into WrestleMania. It does put the titles at a nice starting point to say, hey, the women's tag team division is one to watch. We're going to put on these quality of matches all the time. But it's just whether they can stay at that level in a 2-on-2 scenario or whatever it may be. Before you move us along to the next match, what do you think is next for the women's tag team championships? Do you honestly think that Bayley and Sasha will be on both brands? Do you think they'll stay on Raw? Who do you think they'll take on at Fastlane? Because we do have Fastlane in 3 damn weeks. What's kind of next for the women's tag team champions?
I think they'll be on both shows. The titles have to be dual. They almost have to be dual branded because you can't just keep it on Raw. I think that they're gonna face Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville at the next show, just based on they're the last team eliminated. They worked really well together, so it's a match I want to see. I think a lot of people want to see. And who knows? Maybe a Fire and Desire will surprise us. I don't think so, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. And if it's anything like that last little sequence in the chamber, it's a match that I would be really happy to see.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it'll be dual branded. Now, here's my kind of take on, I've said this many times to you, protecting the brand split is a very big issue that I have at the moment with wrestling. with
Yeah.
WWE. You have to protect the brand split to a certain degree, and I know you've probably seen the reports as well that they're looking to kind of integrate the women's divisions to appear on both shows. I don't know the true extent of that report. I would hope not. Yeah, okay, let's have the women's tag team champions appear on both shows because it's a dual branded title. That's fine. But I don't want to see just the women's divisions integrated completely because that just means there's less time for new stars to shine or people to get opportunities. But
And plus with that, if you have the women's division on both shows, inevitably, it's one of the shows will be less important.
yeah,
Like they did when they merged the brands back in 2010 or 11. Very quickly, it became Raw was the show where you had your stars, and SmackDown was the show where you basically had A, stuff you missed on Raw, and B, just sort of lesser quality talent. I think that if you put the women on both shows, inevitably you'll have that same situation.
yeah, no, I agree with you completely. It's just, yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't really have much more to say on the women's tag team championships because you know my kind of take on tag team wrestling, but I'm excited for it. It's a good thing that it's happened.
All right, then we will move right along here. Next up is the tag team title match for the SmackDown tag team titles. The Usos picking up a win over Miz and Shane McMahon. We've got new champions. What'd you think?
I thought the match was good. I was honestly knocking myself for being surprised the match was as good as it was because the Usos don't have bad tag team matches. They just don't. And Miz is great. Shane McMahon can hold his own. If anything I can take away, it was just being on myself for not expecting the quality that they provided, honestly, because I shouldn't have been as surprised as I was. I was a little bit surprised that the Usos won here. I thought the Usos were going to win the championships at some point, but not here. I thought it maybe had been at Fastlane, but we'll see how this story progresses because there's a lot. There was a lot to go on here. I thought Shane McMahon always looks like he is like dying in the ring. Like he's just always just so.
I don't quite think it's selling. I think
he's literally just really gassed, and he's just like in a bit of pain. He's getting older. But some of the stuff I can't knock Shane McMahon too much because some of the stuff that he can pull off at his age. I mean, damn, if I was his age and doing that, I'd be pretty damn proud of myself, and I'd probably be pretty gassed. I'd be pretty gassed now doing that. So, I mean, I can't knock him too much. I did actually enjoy the match quite a lot, and I liked the finish. There's a lot to unpack in terms of Miz and Shane, kind of, their kind of tension that they're building, and him telling him to, get home.
Yeah.
One other thing I'd like to say is, hey, Maurice is pregnant again. That was quick.
Yes. Congratulations from Wrestling Reverb to Miz and Maurice on the announcement of their pregnancy.
They did not waste any time in that department. They were just like, let's have another one. I was like, damn.
Best wishes to them. This might be a surprise. This is definitely going to be a surprise. This was my favorite match of the night.
Really?
Yeah. Bold statement? Probably. But I just really thought these two teams worked so well together. I thought Shane looked as good in the ring as I've seen him since he came back to WWE. The Miz doing a springboard clothesline just blew me away. I've never seen that from the Miz. All four of these guys I thought stepped their game up, and I thought it was a really, really good match. Very good tag team match.
It really was. I am surprised that you said that was your favorite match of the night. I'm not angry at all, just surprised.
Yeah, there's something about it. I mean, and I'm definitely on a rewatch. Maybe my opinion will change on when I take another look at it. But I don't know. Yeah, I left the show last night thinking I really, really liked that tag team match.
Damn. Well then, I'm not angry at all. Damn,
Yeah.
I did not expect you to say that. That has kind of taken
I'm here
me
to
for a
make
loop.
I'm here to make bold statements, hot takes.
I like it. You can just... Yeah, well, I can't top that one. Damn. All right. You got
All
me
right,
speechless.
Well, then I guess that's as good an opportunity as any to move on to our next match. The handicap match for the WWE Intercontinental title. Finn Balor picking up the pinfall on Lio Rush, which means that Finn Balor is the new Intercontinental Champion, not Bobby Lashley. Also, I didn't care. I didn't care for this much. I don't like Bobby and Lio breaking up because as much as I hate Lio on the mic, he's good at it, which is like that's the point. I'm supposed to hate him. I think that Bobby Lashley had been doing his best work since he teamed up with Lio. I don't know where he goes from here because after the match he hit that like choke slam type move onto Lio. But as a match, I didn't really care for it. It was just hard for me to get invested in the story. I thought Finn would win at WrestleMania, so for me, a win here feels slightly underwhelming, honestly. I don't know if you have a different take.
Well, first and foremost, I'm happy that Finn won, and I guess where we're going with Lashley, which we'll talk about after, I guess it kind of makes sense for him to happen now. And I guess I know you hate this of champions being protected when they lose their championship. But I mean, I can't. The match itself was bleh. It was just nothing to me. Didn't really do much. It wasn't bad. It just there wasn't a lot to it. A handicap match is a little bit restricted. I like Finn. I'm glad that he's the IC champ. And should he have pinned Bobby Lashley? It's debatable, but I guess it protects Lashley of where he's going, and it gets the championship on Finn. And I'm on the same boat as you. I'm not happy that Lio is no longer with Lashley because that was the best quality of Bobby Lashley was Lio. He was annoying, Lashley. That's annoying, but it's meant to be annoying. He's a heel. So, I mean, I'm not really fond of them two probably separating, but I don't really have too much to say on that one. I'm glad that Finn is the champ. Yeah, maybe it should have happened at Mania, but you can't have every moment like that on Mania. You have to have them at different shows, and I think we're going to get a few moments like that at Mania, or at least one. So, I mean, it was just in the middle of the show. It was a nice little feel-good moment that Finn won. But other than that, I don't really have much to really say on that one. Sorry to be so dull.
I can't complain. I like Finn, love Finn, wanted to be champion. It's hard to believe this is the first title he's held in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And only his second title overall. I mean, he's much too talented to have not won something in the interim. But I can't complain that he won here. I guess one thing we could say is that now I guess Lio Rush could focus more on his own in-ring career because he's a damn good talent in the ring. But I feel like that they have wanted this to be his priority for a while. So I'm curious now if he just goes away or if he sticks around and tries to rekindle things with Lashley or if he stays up on Raw. I don't really know. And as far as Lashley goes, where do you think Bobby Lashley goes from here? Obviously, he's probably going to be in this title picture, I think, for a bit. But what do you think is next for Lashley?
Well, I think they have plans for that trio that we kind of saw later on. Me too. I'm not into it. I'm kind of a little bit done with three-man stables for the time being. It's a little overdone, and especially when it's just three thrown together people that they've just kind of like, we need something for you to do at WrestleMania. I think this is a WrestleMania plan. I do. I just think it is a little bit of just we don't have anything else for you to do. Let's put you together. So then at least when you're on segments on television, we're getting 3 people on television instead of 1. That is my kind of take on that. I honestly don't think Lashley is going to be involved in the IC title picture for too much longer. I don't think that's
I
where
think
he's headed.
I think maybe through Fastlane. Maybe.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
what I'm
he gets
thinking.
Raw.
And then after Fastlane, I don't think he's going to really be in the title picture too much longer. But hey, I could be very wrong. This could be building just to some multi-man match for the IC title at Mania. Who knows?
It could be. I did see, when I wanted to bring this up before we move on to the next match, I did see someone's idea on Twitter. I don't remember who, so I can't properly credit them. But if you hear this, and this was your idea, thank you. That maybe where this is going is that at WrestleMania we're going to get a 6-man tag. Corbin, Lashley, and McIntyre versus Strowman, Bray Wyatt, and Luke Harper. Like a reformed Wyatt family.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that
On
either.
Foul's show yesterday, I think it was Levi. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, Foul, or if it was Levi or if it was Nicholas, but it was one of those two guys on the show. They said maybe it's a 6-man tag between that trio, McIntyre, Lashley, and Corbin versus Kurt Angle, Finn Balor, and Braun Strowman. And I was like, I mean, that definitely could work, but then the IC title's not on the line and blah, blah, blah. But he was like, well, maybe they don't really care about defending the IC title at Mania. And while I was a little taken back by that, I also was like, I couldn't really put that past them, to be honest.
No, I couldn't either. Like, the belt should be defended at WrestleMania. I think every belt should be defended at WrestleMania. I think that's just the way it should be. It's the grandest stage of them all. Get all the belts defended. But I wouldn't put it past them either just to stick Finn in a 6-man tag. I don't want to see that 6-man tag at all.
No. Not at
I'm
all.
like you said, the 3-man stable versus the 6-man tags we get as a result of it have just grown old for me, especially with this group of guys because we've seen this for so long.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Lashley fight Finn at WrestleMania for the belt than to see that 6-man tag in whatever incarnation it may be, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree completely.
All right. Well, that's enough about that. I'm already getting lethargic just thinking about that match. So we'll move on. So we'll move on to one that's gonna get me angry instead. Ronda Rousey against Ruby Riott for the Raw Women's Championship. Rousey wins in under 2 minutes. This wasn't about the match, and it was about the segment afterwards. And for those of you who didn't watch the show, I'll run it down real quick. After the match, Charlotte Flair, who was sitting ringside, gets into the ring, stares down Ronda Rousey, and then out of the crowd, on crutches, hobbling as fast as she could hobble, comes Becky Lynch, the suspended Becky Lynch. And she gets in the ring and just beats the holy hell out of Charlotte and out of Ronda with her crutches. It was a good segment.
Mm-hmm.
But why did you even need to have the match with Ronda and Ruby if you're just going to do Ruby like that? Losing in 2 minutes, looking like an absolute afterthought. Like, not even important in the grand scheme of things. That hurts. I know we've thrown this idea around that no one knows what they're talking about when they say buried. And I'm not going to say Ruby Riott is buried here because we don't know where this is going to go. But this didn't do her any favors, that's for sure.
Okay, I don't know. You were the first person I thought about when this happened because I was like, ooh, Kevin is not gonna like this. When the pinfall happened, I knew you'd like the segment, and I knew you'd understand the segment, and blah, blah, blah. But I knew you weren't going to be happy on Ruby. Now, feel free to direct all your anger at me for this, but...
Oh, boy.
I was honestly okay with it. For the sense of... I like Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott is very good. She's very underappreciated in what she can do in the ring. She's a very solid hand. But for the purpose of where we're going and what we need to do to get to WrestleMania, sometimes you just have to sacrifice certain things. And WWE's philosophy is we need to put Ronda on every pay-per-view. She draws money to the arena. I understand that. I don't like the fact that it was Ruby Riott in this situation, but in the terms of everything, I think it was just the only choice they kind of had. And yes, I would like to see a head-to-head match between Ruby and Ronda. But in the terms of everything, and this is no discredit to Ruby or to your personal feelings, but Ruby Riott is not on Ronda Rousey's level. In terms of just what Ronda is and stuff, yes, Ruby is a better worker than Ronda Rousey. It's not about that sometimes. Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch are on a different level than Ruby Riott. And sometimes you just have to sacrifice this in terms of making that segment feel better, in terms of this, where we're going, where this train is headed, and that's to WrestleMania. It is to make, you want the three best possible versions of Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte. And you want to make it seem like the only people that can beat one another is one of those girls. The other girls cannot beat Ronda. They cannot beat Becky. They cannot beat Charlotte. And I know that it sucks, and I understand it, but I, in this case, think it served its purpose. And feel free to disagree with me, because a lot of people did on Foul's show as well. But I just think it served what it needed to serve in this case.
Boo. No, I see what you're saying. It's just, I think they could have done it. First of all, Ruby Riott got in less offense than like Ronda Rousey taking on Alicia Fox on a random episode of Raw. That doesn't sit well with me. I know, and you can't say like, oh, why didn't they use Alicia Fox here or Mickey James? Maybe Mickey James, but you had to use someone credible, because why else would someone be getting a title shot?
Yeah.
So in that regard, I feel what you're saying. I don't even think they needed to defend the title here. I think this could have been a contract signing segment with Ronda and Charlotte.
Me too. I'm on that page.
Same thing, because you have Becky coming down. You have the three of them there. You get that moment. The segment afterwards was great. Loved it. It's just I don't think they needed to sacrifice Ruby. I think they could have done it without any title match at all.
I agree with that. I think I'm on the same boat as you, as I don't think it necessarily needed to be a match. But I just think, in WWE's eyes, that's how they want Ronda is. They want her undefeated. They want her unbeatable. They want that moment.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get it. I think this could have been like a 6 or 7 minute match as opposed to a sub 2.
No. I'm on that page as well. In my perfect world, I would have liked to see a longer match, a more competitive match. But, I mean, I definitely understand what you're saying. I definitely understand what a lot of people are saying. But, I mean, in terms of where we're going, I can understand it. And I can, for the moment that we're going to get at Mania, it's just is what it is. I mean, it's not the best, and I understand that, and Ruby's great, and I don't think Ruby should be in that spot where she's just getting literally destroyed. And getting literally no offense in. But, I mean, what are we meant to do? Like, there's nothing we can do about it, and it happened, and I mean, if anything you can take away from it, it made Ronda look even more unbeatable. So when Becky gets that win at Mania, it's even better. I understand it, though. I see it from that point of view.
Fine.
I knew you'd be one that, like I said, I thought about you because I was like, oh, Kevin's not going to be happy about this one. And understandably, I get it.
I wasn't. I was very unhappy. And speaking of unhappy, let's move on. Next matchup, no DQ. Baron Corbin beats Braun Strowman with the help of his friends Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. Oh, I hated this. It's just the same old shit over and over again.
So I can't comment on this match too much because this was my piss break and it was also lunchtime, so I cooked my lunch. This was the match that I decided to do it in.
Yes, exactly what I'm saying. Like this was this was a match just no one cared about.
I had a absolutely incredible lunch. It was great, and I saw the ending. And I can't really comment on the match too much because I was enjoying my food.
That's fine because I literally don't remember anything except for when McIntyre and Lashley came out.
Yep.
So, we're in the same boat, honestly. I'm sick of seeing all the heels, Corbin, Lashley, McIntyre. These guys have to have better things to do. Lashley literally just wrestled a match like 10 minutes ago, like 15 some odd minutes ago. And they're just like, whatever. Now that's his thing. He drops the belt and now he's back in this trio that no one wants to see. Everyone wants to see better things definitely for McIntyre, maybe for Lashley. Everyone wants Corbin to go away. That's not happening. And here's another point. The supposed reason that Strowman got yanked from the Royal Rumble match with Lesnar is because they didn't want him to take another loss.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that.
He just lost to Baron Corbin.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? It's the logic there is astounding.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
That can't be the reason why he got taken out of the Rumble match, because if it is, and they just decided to change their minds on it and hand Corbin a win over Strowman, no matter who got involved, I don't care. Jeez, that's dumb.
I didn't even think of that. You kind of said it best there. All I can say is that I had an incredible Vegemite and cheese sandwich for all my Australian friends that like Vegemite. Yeah, it was good, and I ate that and I enjoyed it. And seen Braun Strowman go through a table or two tables.
It wasn't a terrible spot. I will say that
it was a cool spot, and that's basically all I've seen of that match. I remember hearing McIntyre's music and still enjoying my sandwich.
Yeah, that's basically the gist of it. If you watched this match instead of eating your food, yeah, you made a mistake.
Yeah,
I wish I made myself a sandwich during this match too. Next time, because I'm sure we'll see this match again at some point. So
we'll probably see it on Raw today, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. All right, so that's enough on that. That's just painful. Now we can move on to something a brighter subject, the main event.
The Elimination. May I
yes,
interject here?
Yes, you may.
There was a little segment in between this.
Oh my God! I forgot about it.
With a certain lady, that would be Lacey Evans. Her music hit, and we've both stated. I remember you saying we're both fans of Lacey. So her music hit, and I was like, ooh, Lacey's going to come out and cut a promo. Or do you know what my first actual thought was actually, is this her challenging Asuka? Because I thought, hey, there's a lot of time on this show. Maybe there's going to be a little impromptu women's championship match. But it wasn't. Lacey was in her, lovely lady attire, and I was like, okay, we're getting a promo. And then she turned, excuse my language, she turned the fuck around. And she walked on back. Now, I'm going to ask you what your thoughts on this segment was first before we get to mine.
I laughed, honestly.
So did
I laughed having no reason for doing so, because this wasn't funny. This was so I don't get it. Like, I don't even want to call it stupid. It just literally was nonsensical.
I don't know why it happened, but the one thing I will say is that Lacey Evans is running with it on Twitter. My God, this woman is just going for it. So I mean, if it was literally just to get her on the show, or just to go, hey, let's put something moving on the television screen for 20 seconds, because they had nothing to fill with that time. It did seem like that in my eyes. They just wanted a moving object on the screen. If there was no kind of plan about it, at least Lacey is on Twitter going, yeah, I wanted to do this. Why do you deserve to see me? Blah, 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 blah. So in that sense, I guess at least she's trying to make something of nothing.
Yeah, that's good.
I was talking on Foul's show yesterday about Lacey Evans. We all got kind of asked, and no one seems to be a fan of this woman. I am a big fan. I really am. I think, like we said, she's a gimmick. She's not a tagline. She lives her gimmick. I think her in-ring work is good. I think she's only got room to grow. I kind of think put the jetpack on this girl because I think they could really... She's got a good look. She's different than any other woman in terms of an actual gimmick. In terms of the whole roster, male or female, she actually has a gimmick. Not a lot of people have quote-unquote gimmicks anymore. They're just kind of extensions of themselves. So, I really do like Lacey Evans a lot. No one that I'm around that I watch wrestling with like Lacey Evans. They all can't stand her. But I think she's really good. I think she understands the business more than people give her credit for.
Yeah, I love Lacey Evans. I love her work in NXT. I think she's such a good heel. Like,
yeah,
and she's gonna get heat at this level.
Yep,
and that's the name of the game. She's going to get a lot of heat.
Yep. While I agree that the segment was bizarre, and I don't really get why, other than just, like I said, a moving object on the screen that isn't a video package, we'll just send Lacey out there. Do you think they're going to run with it? Do you think this is something they're just going to do now on every episode of Raw and SmackDown, just for a little while? Just have her come out?
I really kind of hope so now. Like,
me too.
I understand that people would be mad about that, but I think it'd be funny.
It'd get a heat on her because, I think in any sense it would anyway, because people would be pissed off that she's just taking 20 seconds of the screen for no reason other than coming out, doing a twirl, and being like, bye. I think that's a good way to get heat because, and you get people to learn her. I think a lot of, thing is, she didn't spend a whole lot of time on NXT TV. It was probably a year she was constantly on TV.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit.
She wasn't prominently featured, but she did. No. She worked really well.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people on main roster audience don't really know who she is, and they don't know her music. They don't know what she's kind of about. So I mean, hey. This is one way to get her on the television. It's better than her not being on TV.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe they have plans for Lacey Evans that we don't know about. I hope so. I think, like I said, she's got room to grow in the ring. I think she's a little green. The one thing I will say about Lacey is that while it's cool in some sense, I don't love her finish. It's just a punch. It's not even that great of a punch. But it works for what it is, and I understand it. But hey, she's got room to grow, and I just really think highly of Lacey Evans, and I know I'm in the minority because a lot of people don't like her.
Yeah, I definitely see that too. There's just not a lot of Lacey Evans love, but you know what? That's fine.
She's a heel.
That's fine. When she's running, yeah.
Not many people you're not meant to like her. She might be a genuine heel that isn't around anymore. There isn't many of them left. They're all edgy and cool, and people like them. I don't really see Lacey Evans getting liked, especially in that gimmick. People won't adapt to that very well because they don't see themselves in it. And sometimes it's, they say, oh, the best characters are ones that you can see and understand with. So a lot of people don't understand why Lacey Evans is doing what she's doing. So in any sense, it might translate to, I just don't like that woman.
Yeah.
Heat is heat to me in any sense, as long as you can run with it. And Lacey certainly runs with it.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. I just thought of this, too. Remember back in, 2012 when Chris Jericho had come back and he'd come out and he'd be, all happy and smiley and slapping high fives, but then he'd leave without saying anything?
I certainly do.
That's just the vibes I'm getting.
Yeah. I remember a certain tag match when he was in and he finally got the hot tag and he come in and he was like, yeah, and tagged out and walked out. That was brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows where this is heading? It could literally be heading nowhere, and we're just speculating.
Yeah, this could literally be nothing, but I hope it's not because that would just I just really want them to have a plan for somebody coming out of NXT.
Me too, especially with Mania around the corner.
Yeah. All right, now we can get to the main event. Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. Daniel Bryan beats AJ Styles, beats Jeff Hardy, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, Samoa Joe. Not in that order. Just, I liked it. I didn't love it, but the last 10 minutes or so with Kofi and Daniel, I absolutely adored. I think everyone did.
Yep. Before I get to Kofi, because we're probably going to spend some time on that, I have to give props to Jeff Hardy for doing that Swanton Bomb on AJ Styles. That was just great. That was just really cool. Brian ended up eliminating him like right after that. Jeff wasn't in there for all that long, but man, it looked that Jeff Hardy. We can say what we want about Jeff in his later years of wrestling. He slowed down an incredible amount. The man is always looking gassed, but Jeff is not afraid to put his body on the line. Because that spot could have went wrong. That was a lot of room for error. He could have missed.
He could have landed really badly.
Yep.
So I'll give him credit for having great body control there. He also just could have straight up missed. Like, oh my god, there was not a lot of room for error there.
No, and Jeff. Every time I say Jeff should maybe slow it down and maybe think about lacing up the boots or at least a full-time schedule. Jeff does something like that, and I'm like, it don't matter. Jeff Hardy is still really cool, and honestly, Jeff Hardy is still really over. That reaction he got at Chamber was one of the bigger ones out of the 6. Jeff Hardy is still really, really over. Before we get into the match, could you see Jeff Hardy winning the WWE Championship one more time?
Yeah, I could.
Me too.
I think precisely because of the fan reaction he gets.
And just through that final kind of stamp on his career, it kind of would be nice to see it. But who knows? I still really like Jeff Hardy. I've always been a fan of Jeff. And I think I always will be, no matter his work rate may be slowing down slightly. I will always love Jeff Hardy, and I'll always love seeing Jeff Hardy wrestle.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
Yeah. He's still talented.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
He's still, like you said, crazy over with the fans. I think he deserves one more run. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think of some other spots in that match. I know some people have their opinion on Samoa Joe being eliminated. He was first out, right?
He was first out, yes.
Yeah. Samoa Joe is one that's had a few title opportunities now and just can never seem to get it done. And him being eliminated first, who was he eliminated by? Kofi?
AJ Styles.
Oh, AJ, that's right. What's your kind of take on Samoa Joe? Because I think Samoa Joe is great. I'm not really, the biggest supporter of Samoa Joe. I think he's good, but I just personally am just not the biggest fan. So it personally, it didn't bother me that much, but I understand why Joe getting eliminated first and the way he just kind of got eliminated was just kind of like, okay.
I honestly wasn't surprised at all that he got eliminated first.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I do like Samoa Joe. I think he's going to be WWE champion someday, unless they keep booking him the way they do to come up short in the big ones. But I think someone had to go out first, right? And you had to wait for Jeff Hardy to get in there because he came in. He entered late. He entered at number 5. So you had to wait for him to get in there, and I thought he would have been my pick to go out first, just because I think of the 6, he had the least chance of winning the whole thing. Hardy did,
yeah.
But Joe came in early. That's what happens when you come in early. You get eliminated early, unless you're Daniel Bryan, and you win the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, there was a few cool little spots with some other people. That RKO that Randy did on AJ.
AJ, that was a cool spot.
That was a really cool spot. I really like that. But I mean, let's be honest. We want to talk about Kofi and Bryan because
that's the story of this fucking Bryan.
Man,
honestly, I wasn't crazy about the first 20 minutes or so, and then we got to. Well, actually, when Randy hit that RKO is where it really picked up for me.
Yeah,
because then you had Kofi knocking him out, and then oh my god, it's like everyone's like, holy shit, it's Kofi and Daniel now to the finish.
Yeah, and it was I said this on Fowler's show, and I'll say this now. That whole ending sequence with Kofi and Bryan made me forget everything else kind of that comes along with wrestling, or the baggage on the internet, and they're not going to put the title on Kofi going into Mania and stuff. It didn't matter. I was 10 years old watching wrestling again, and it was good guy versus bad guy, and I wanted the good guy to beat the bad guy. It's literally what it was.
Yeah, I felt like a 5-year-old. I felt like a child again, just watching wrestling.
Kofi made me believe. He made me believe in wrestling. And it's weird.
I was literally like, I was so upset when he lost, even though I picked Daniel Bryan to win, and I knew he was going to win. But I was still so upset when Kofi lost. I will say, when Kofi kicked out of the running knee, I thought there was a chance.
Me too. When he hit that Trouble in Paradise, and it was so close, and then Bryan ended up rolling him up. I thought that was the end. It didn't matter to me what was going on in that whole landscape of, Bryan can't lose the title going into Mania, and it's Kofi. Like, it didn't damn matter. Like, it really didn't. I was just watching wrestling for how we should watch wrestling, and what would make wrestling better. Just whatever the hell is happening on our screen. It didn't matter who, what, when, where. It was just what I was watching at the time. It's a lost art in watching wrestling of just taking it for what it is. We look into it. Me and you do it as well. It's not just people that like to complain on the internet. Me and you look into things of, that person won't win because they're going to fight this person or this person or this person. It made me believe in wrestling again. It is a lost form of watching wrestling. Just enjoying it for what it is. I enjoyed that moment for what it was. It didn't make me mad or anything. It just genuine emotional reaction of, I want Kofi Kingston to win the championship, and I don't care about what's next. Just let me enjoy this moment, and it was just...
We become so used to just looking ahead, and that's how we determine who wins things. We're like, okay, well, like you said, Daniel Bryan's going to win because he's going to face, this guy at WrestleMania, and he's going to face this guy at whatever comes next, and, there's all this good story built up. You can't have him lose. Kofi made us forget about all that. Kofi literally took the entire future of wrestling and basically placed it out of the picture for 12 minutes. He had us living in the moment, and that is something that is a lost art. Like, you're right, we don't think like that anymore. But Kofi Kingston had us thinking in terms of the right now. For that whole stretch, and I can't thank him enough, honestly, because that stretch was just so beautifully done.
It was just really nice for someone who has worked in the company for 11 years, 10 years, whatever he said it was. It's been a long time coming, and it's someone that has always just been. I don't mean this in a horrible way. He's just been there. He's always been there. And like he said, you can count the number of times he's had a WWE Championship opportunity on one hand. And that's saying something, because Kofi we've always known his talent in the ring, and his entertainment level is also through the roof with the New Day. But there is this other side of Kofi that, I don't know, you just felt... I didn't see a single thing on Twitter, and this is saying something that said, I don't want Kofi Kingston to win this. He single-handedly united wrestling Twitter, which no person can do. Not even Becky Lynch can do that. People don't like Becky.
He did this, and he did it in like 5 days, going back to going back from SmackDown to last night. He literally got the whole world thinking that Kofi Kingston should be WWE champion in a span of 5 days.
That's incredible.
Unheard of.
It's just perfect timing, right person. I don't think, and this is no disrespect to Mustafa Ali, but if he was in this match and it was his spot, and, he was down to the final two, sure, it'd be a cool moment. You'd want Mustafa to, you feel that, but I don't think it'd be the same feeling. Mustafa's new. Mustafa hasn't been there for 11 years, and I've heard nothing but incredible things about Kofi Kingston as a human being. People always have stated that he's just an incredible father and an incredible person. And sometimes, they say, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon said it best, and I'm going to botch this bad, but nice guys finish last, but what was it, bad guys? I don't know what it was. I'm botching it up. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Look up the term yourself, everyone. But it's good to see a good person, what you know about this person as a human being, get an opportunity that he's been obviously working towards his entire career. And he's talented, he is deserving, and he just united all of us, and it was just like a really cool little moment that, regardless of what happens now, we have that moment forever. And I know a lot of people are saying, like, oh, Kofi and Bryan should be at WrestleMania, and, this would be such a cool moment, and while I agree with that, it would be, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they fight at Fastlane, to be honest with you, and Bryan goes through Kofi, and it'll be a nice little moment, and we on to the next. To be honest with you, that's what I think is going to happen. I could be really wrong. Maybe this has turned the opinion around on all of the management and creative team and Vince and whoever it needs to turn the opinion on. Maybe they are planning for Kofi Kingston to fight for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. I just don't see it, and I would be fine with it. Trust me, I would be more than fine with it. It would be an incredible moment. It'd be an incredible match. Bryan and Kofi are people that are just, they don't put on bad matches. It'd be a cool match. Like we've stated many times, it is not the main event of WrestleMania. Therefore, you can use other talent that aren't necessarily quote-unquote main event level. It's going to go in the middle of the show. It'll be a cool match, and I would like to see that. I just don't personally think it's going to happen. But regardless of anything, this was so just incredibly fun to watch, and I just like when I can feel like a kid again, and that made me feel like a kid.
I was just going to say the same thing. They made me feel like a kid again, and I thank Kofi Kingston for that, because that's something that it just doesn't happen anymore.
It was organic. It wasn't forced. It was just felt... you can't manufacture moments like that. And if you can, damn, they did a brilliant job at doing that.
Yeah, they did. I'll say this. I'm not sure if they had a plan for Daniel Bryan yet for WrestleMania. It didn't feel like it. Like, I couldn't pinpoint one possible thing. So that makes me think that there is a chance. I'm not saying it's a good chance. I just don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that we do see Kofi and Daniel at WrestleMania. Personally, I wouldn't even defend the WWE Championship at Fastlane. I don't know. I just don't care about I would just throw Fastlane in the trash. But
me too.
I don't know. I think there's a chance. I think if the fans stay behind Kofi for the next couple of weeks like they have been, I think they could be swayed.
Oh, no, I'm not saying, no, I get that. I would like to see it as well. It'd be fun. That story would be just, man, I can picture that moment at WrestleMania. Even with Kofi maybe not winning, but I can picture it, and I can picture that crowd being just ready for it. I actually, regardless of anything, I probably enjoyed this chamber more than I enjoyed the women's tag team chamber, but I mean, that's just me. I actually really enjoyed this chamber. Maybe it was because of the Kofi Bryan thing. Maybe it's overshadowing the rest of the match. I don't know. But regardless, it was a part of the match. Therefore, it makes the match great, in my opinion. Yeah. I haven't watched it again. I've only watched it once through. It'll be something that I'll probably watch later on today after Raw. But even if it was just that last 10 minutes of the match that went from good to great, doesn't matter to me. It's all a part of the match.
Yeah, like you said, it's part of the match. It kicked into another gear.
Yeah, it was just fun. Overall, I thought the show was okay. The 2 chamber matches made it what it was, and the rest of it was just kind of... I thought the Becky segment with Charlotte and Ronda was really cool. You obviously enjoyed the tag team title match.
Oh, you're damn right I did.
And other than that, though, there wasn't really too much to sink the teeth into, to be honest.
No.
But the 2 chamber matches was what we were there for, and they delivered, in my eyes.
Yeah, it was a low expectation pay-per-view. People tuned in to see the chambers, and I think they got what they wanted.
Yeah. Plain and simple. Yeah. Raw's on in 45 minutes as we're recording this. I mean, I don't know. The obviously there's more to look forward to on SmackDown with Kofi and stuff like that. Are you at all kind of keen on Raw? I don't know. Okay, like what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we had this new era started. And I've always said that we had to give it some time and you know, it wasn't going to happen overnight. But it's been, 2-3 months. I haven't noticed a lot of change. I really haven't. It's been... Sure, there's been some better episodes of Raw. I don't think overall it's a better show.
Either.
And I want it to get better. And I'm always open and going into Raw like, okay, let's do it. But I don't know. I haven't been on Twitter in, half an hour or so, but I haven't seen anything announced for Raw other than Sasha and Bayley are going to be there, and that's it, really. There really isn't too much more to look forward to on Raw. Are you at all excited heading into Raw tonight?
I'm excited to see what comes next for Becky, Ronda, and Charlotte.
Oh yeah, I guess there's that. Yeah.
We don't know if Becky will be there. She's suspended, but it didn't stop her last night.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry to interrupt, but WWE have put out a tweet. It says, breaking news, NXT superstars Johnny Gargano, Ricochet, and Tommaso Ciampa and Aleister Black are spotted backstage before Raw.
Oh.
Well, they put up pictures. It's on WWE's Twitter. It was posted 37 minutes ago.
Well then.
Well, I take back everything
now
I said.
Now I'm a little excited.
Sorry for my comments before. I want to see Johnny Gargano, Aleister Black, Ricochet, and Tommaso Ciampa on Raw. Well, I couldn't... whoa. I don't even know what to say. Sorry to interrupt you, first and foremost. But, whoa.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine because you literally changed my answer. Because I was gonna just say that I'm still excited for the Becky fallout from last night. But what are they gonna do with the NXT guys, especially since 2 of them have belts?
Whoa. Yeah. Oh, and Selena Vega just put a black love heart for Aleister Black, I'm assuming, because they're married.
Yeah.
So, obviously they're announcing this for a specific reason. They're probably going to be on Raw. Surprises are fun, but sometimes this is intriguing to know that they're there. What the hell does that mean?
I have no idea. I don't know what we could be. We could be getting just like a little showcase. I could see a tag match maybe, Gargano and Ciampa versus Black and Ricochet, which would be awesome. I don't know if they're gonna get like promo time. I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know.
This is, it's cool. Gets me excited to watch Raw. Listen, if it's good enough, you'll probably hear from me and Kevin tomorrow, because there'll be probably a bonus episode of this show if it's worthy enough, because sometimes we can't wait until later in the week to get our dang thoughts out. But hey, that's exciting. I'm excited for that. I love all four of those guys.
Oh yeah, me too.
So, man, that changed the complexion of heading into Raw. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. Jeez, talk about a game changer.
Yeah, honestly. Well, in that case, I guess we better get ourselves ready to watch Raw soon. Kevin, we will be in touch. If anything crazy happens, I'm sure you or me will suggest to do an episode very, very soon, and you'll hear from us if needed. Well then, on that note, Kev, where can we find you on social media?
Ah, yes, the old social media machine. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin C Wrestling. You can find me on Facebook at Kevin Carroll if you really want. I wouldn't go there, honestly. You can find me. You can find my blog at thelastbloggerstanding.wordpress.com. Yeah, I mean, that's where you can find me. Those are the two main places you can find me, on Twitter or on the blog. You can find me on Instagram, too, at I don't even know what my Instagram handle is, so next time I'll come more prepared.
Also, me and Kev, I said this at the start of the show, we're always looking for guests. Don't be afraid to DM or tweet at me or Kevin, because we will always be down to having, as long as you are not an asshole, we'll have you on the show. That's basically criteria we kind of will stick by forever. Yeah, we're always open, and even if it's not to be on a guest on our show, we're always open to talking about wrestling. Don't be afraid to message either of us. I'm pretty sure I'm safe to say that, Kevin. You're not going to bite anyone.
Yeah.
So,
no, I'm not gonna. No, if they behave.
But yeah, always be open. We're always looking for stuff. And if nothing crazy happens on Raw and you don't hear from us beforehand, the next time you hear from us is later in the week, Thursday, Friday, whatever time zone you're in. We will be hearing us for Reverb Rewind. The polls are still open for a little bit more time. Vote. There is a little bit of a lead with what we think is going to happen, but I'll make the announcement when the poll closes. I'm sure Kevin will see that. And we will watch it in the next couple of days, and we will get back to you later in the week with our recap of whatever wins. And yeah, that's the next time you'll most likely hear from us is then. So that's exciting, Kev. So be ready for that one.
Oh, I'm ready.
Me and Kevin have been very hyped for this because we've been talking about it for quite some time now, and we're finally doing it. But yeah, that is the next time. Please go to pulsepodcastnetwork.com/shop. You can find all Wrestling Reverb merchandise there, and you can find anything on the Pulse Podcast Network if you use the code PPN launch. You can get 5% off your order. And also, if you head on over to my social media, you'll see that until March 1st, it is a special promotion going on the Pulse Podcast Network shop. On any of the products, you can get 25% off using the code FANREWARD. That's 25% off any Wrestling Reverb or any Pulse Podcast Network merch. Go there, buy our merch. Tweet at us if you buy our merch, because we'd love to see it. Tweet me or Kevin. Go to iTunes, rate this podcast. Yeah, 5 stars, all that. Leave a review. Wherever you're listening to, on any kind of podcast streaming network, I appreciate everyone. The last episode of Wrestling Reverb with Levi and Foul was the most successful episode I have ever had in all of Wrestling Reverb episodes. And I'm glad it was, because it's the episode I'm probably most happy with and most proud of. It's just fun. Kevin loved it as well. Foul and Levi loved it. While I won't get into specifics, there will be more episodes in the future with us four, because it's too fun not to revisit, to be honest.
Yeah. You have that magic. You just have to. You can't just use it once.
Lightning in a bottle with that one there. We will. You'll definitely hear from us when we kind of get the more details out about that one. But God, it was fun. So definitely be doing that again. But until next time, Kevin, is there anything else you'd like to say to kind of end this show today?
Thanks for listening. Subscribe, review, 5 stars, all that jazz, and buy our merch.
Yes, buy our merch. Peace.